Hello, hello. It's your host Dre, and I'm back with another one. I'm gonna do a bit of a follow up and a twist on my last video. Um, this is gonna be my reasons for why I'm not voting for Kamala and why I'm not voting Democrat. Loosely, why I'm not voting Democrat at all anymore, say for certain occasions and the local level. Um, First and foremost, I guess the biggest thing is I'll go ahead and put it out here. I have big grievances with the Democratic Party. Um, I feel that the party takes black people, who are its most loyal constituency, for granted, and I hate that we have accepted this policy of benign neglect that they have enacted upon us. And I'll be frank, I think it's demonic to ask for somebody's vote whilst doing for other groups of people and ignoring those who did the most for you. I feel that Democrats um, play, for lack of a better term, they play in our face every single cycle that we allow them to get in office. And the fact of the matter is, I also believe it burns them up that black folks, some black folks are starting to ask questions. Some black folks are starting to place a demand on their vote. Um, Keep in mind now, it wasn't that long ago that you had some people like, oh Lord, Mr. Baby Oil, who was saying hold the vote a couple cycles ago. And remember how they tried to uh, tar and feather him. You had people like Ice Cube saying the same thing. You had tons of pundits saying the same thing. Even when it came down to who was going to be the Speaker of the House. So, well, actually, in that case, for this House Speaker, it was forced to vote, not hold the vote. My bad. I got those two conflated. But grand scheme of things, black people vote Democrat at a rate of about 85% plus, give or take. And we really truly haven't gotten any type of policy since the 60s, since the Civil Rights Bills, the Fair Housing Act, the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, and affirmative action. That's been it. And not only that, other groups, other minority groups, have been quite clear. They're aiming at some of those things that they feel benefit us. Um, it wasn't white folks who struck down or who brought the case to strike down affirmative action. It was Asians. And I feel that we sometimes buy into this, for lack of a better term, rainbow coalition. And when I say rainbow, I'm not talking sexuality and whatnot. A lot of other people groups, and I want to be perfectly clear, yeah, they're great people. I got some folks who a little bit of everything. But by and large, not everybody and their interests align with ours. And going back to that affirmative action decision. And when you go back for the last couple of years with some of the biggest things we have asked Democrats for, after saving fuckboy Joe and putting his decrepit ass in the presidency. Black people have been asking for a hate crime bill forever. Gave it to Asians. Black people, year after year after year, are the leading victim of hate crimes. But we have no such protections. Honestly, one of the biggest problems with hate crime laws, in my opinion, is the fact of the matter, a lot of times, obvious hate crimes don't get classified as hate crimes. Speaking from experience, back in, it was like 09, 2010, where one of my cousin's friends, he was lynched in our hometown, found hanging from a tree. And nobody can tell me that wasn't a hate crime. One of the reasons was because he wasn't suspended from a tree. He was found and the tree branch was shorter than he was. So he was, his body weight was slumped. And I can't believe that guy would choose to end his life that way. But also that there wouldn't be any signs of struggle, that he could just go through with that. It don't. That's a whole nother thing. Black folks have been asking for reparations. Like, the calls for reparation have been growing louder and louder and louder. And frankly, that is probably it ties into what is, for me, the biggest issue facing the black community, which is black wealth is projected to be at 0 by the year 2053. And part of the reason why is I know we like to talk about certain things, like we can do and be anything that we want to be nowadays, which is, it's true. For me, it's not about possibility, it's about probability. And the fact of the matter is, we're still affected by the legacy of Jim Crow. My dad was a sharecropper. He sharecropped when he was a young man. And some of the things he's seen, his experiences, I can say this, like, it's a wonder that he was able to persevere and make out of life what he did. But I'm also no fool. I know that even though he beat Vegas, so to speak, he went and he got an outcome that he probably shouldn't have got. But the reality is, for every one of him, there's 100 that didn't make it or didn't even come close. And that's what I'm talking about. So the fact that Democrats do not substantively address black people, they don't respectfully address, in my opinion, they don't respectfully address black people in general, but they damn sure don't talk to black men like they got any type of respect for us. It is very disheartening to see people act like you are a fucking slave in 2024. I don't personally give a damn what somebody's political leanings are. As long as you're not on some super crazy shit, we can sit down and have a conversation. And at the end of it, we may disagree, and that's fine. But this whole acting like you own black men and black men are compelled to vote the way that you want them to vote, or else we're misogynistic, we're low-key self-hating and racist and all this shit. It's bullshit. You can take it, shove it up your ass, and go straight to fucking hell. And it is getting worse, cycle after cycle after cycle. And to me, it's like the cherry on top of all the insult. You're not black if you don't vote for me. Who the fuck are you? Y'all ain't supporting Kamala because y'all misogynistic. Barack, your name ain't been good in these streets for a long time. Matter of fact, it's one of those things like, Barack, if you really want to know why she's not getting that, why people are asking questions, why she's not getting that support that you got, it's two reasons. She's not the candidate you were in terms of being an orator. But two, you did a horrible fucking job. Black America's not dumb. Barack, you presided over the greatest contraction in black wealth in history. Most black people's wealth are tied to their home. And what did you do, Barack? You allowed the banks to pilfer people's homes. And then you bailed out the banks. But you ain't did nothing for the homeowners. And there's a lot of other stuff, but you the last one need to be wagging your finger at anybody, Barack. But broadly speaking, I don't support Democrats, not at the federal level at least, because they don't got no respect. They don't know how to talk and engage. They act like they own you, which I take grave offense to. Their policies don't speak to the needs of the community and our future to advance ourselves. And frankly, I see where they're content to invest in everybody but us. And if you're going to invest in everybody but me, then you ain't getting my vote. I don't think it's that damn hard to understand. One of the comments talked about, for the last video was like, okay, you could have had a substantive opinion, but you are ridiculous. She's struggling because black men are childish. So you vote for Trump, who will do absolutely nothing for your black, but so sorry for you. The Democrats have done absolutely jack shit for you for decades. And that is my problem. You want to vote for her? Go ahead and vote for her. I'm not voting for her. And I can tell you why. When it comes down to her, a few things. Her record. She has a record of unjustly locking up a lot of black folks back in California. A couple of examples of what I'm getting at there. They love to say the whole truancy thing is a lie, but there are people that she locked up for truancy who came out and have been telling their story. Sheree Peoples. She was a black woman, and her daughter had sickle cell. She was her daughter's primary caregiver, and she had a really bad case of it. Sheree, in a nutshell, Sheree got locked up. There was nobody to care for her daughter. That situation led to a lot of additional stresses on her daughter, which led to her daughter having a sickle cell episode and a stroke, which caused permanent damage to her. Because while she was having episodes and had to miss class, her mother got locked up for that. There's also the case of Jamal Truelove, in which a brother was unjustly convicted. And according to him, when he got sentenced and was facing 50 to life, she laughed. And I believe it took him 6 years to be exonerated, when all along the prosecution knew that he wasn't responsible for that crime. Things like that show a lack of integrity to me. If I was attorney general, if I was in position where I was prosecuting a case and I had some serious doubts that this person could be innocent, I personally, I couldn't do it. I believe I would ask for a stay. I would reconvene with the judge and the defense. And honestly, I probably would drop that case. I would investigate, do my due diligence, but I probably would drop that case. I would drop my case and I would publicly apologize to that man. Me personally. Because right is right and wrong is wrong. Not only that, a lot of people don't remember this, but the state of the California State Supreme Court, there was a case involving an inmate where basically because of the overcrowding, they ruled that a lot of nonviolent offenders that met certain criteria had to be released because being incarcerated was cruel. In such overpopulated quarters was cruel and unusual punishment. Kamala fought to keep those people incarcerated. The reason she cited was that basically it would be a loss of firefighters and a loss of prison labor. You know, there's some language in the 13th about slavery. And it doesn't truly abolish slavery if you examine it. It allows for slavery as punishment for crime. And essentially, it's hard to not see it in that lens that as an agent of the state, she is more concerned about people's labor than their freedom and justice being served. But not only that, but going into her career as a senator, and even when she did that first initial run for president, Kamala has been on every side of an issue. And that to me is very troubling because I don't truly know what she thinks and stands on. And kind of to illustrate what I mean, I believe if you woke Bernie Sanders up out the depth of his daggone sleep at 3:46 a.m. and say, Bernie, what policies are most important to you? I believe he'd tell you right then and there, Medicare for all, federal jobs guarantee, making sure that everybody has the right to clean air and water. I believe he probably gets something just like that. Coal in his eye, he ain't even scrambling for his glasses. He can tell you what he believes. And it comes out the same way every time he talks. Kamala, it doesn't hit the same. Even when she talks about her policies, there's a lot of variance in there. And I'm not saying the woman has to say and enunciate everything word for word perfect, but it's like, okay, so this 50K is startup assistance. It's a forgivable loan. It's a tax deduction. You know, these things are very different. Giving somebody a 50K grant versus giving them a 50K tax deduction, that is real different. And that's something that I don't know why she has such variance when she's in the stump. I mean, after all, it's supposed to be her policy. But that to me, I mean, granted, I already know it is slim chances any of that would get passed because she's likely going to be looking at a Republican Congress in both the House and the Senate. But that being said, uh, that lack of consistency, it really, to me, I read that as there's a lack of willingness to even do. And that if she were to get in there, it would kind of be one of those things where, like, when they cited the Senate parliamentarian for the $15 minimum wage thing, they don't really want to do it. They want to get the credit for wanting to do it and wanting to make you feel like they're on your side, and that it's big bad Joe Manchin or Krista Sinema or whoever the Democrat villain of the week is that's keeping them from doing things on your behalf. And the fact of the matter is, you really come to one of two conclusions for Democrats. Either these people are completely incompetent and feckless and scared of their own shadow, or the actual answer, they're taking money from the same people as they they bash their opponents for. And those donors don't want those policies. So they have to find ways to message like they're for those policies while simultaneously killing those policies. The next thing, the amount of money that's been invested into migrants and foreign entities during this administration, I have found to be very off-putting. I don't know how you can neglect your own domestic populace to engage in petty squabbles abroad, which have little to no impact on America's geopolitical standing and interests. I don't know how you can essentially reward people for just showing up when there are people here who are homeless, people here who are hungry, people here who have been fighting for a chance to be able to live a respectable and decent life. People here who are still owed reparations. There's a time that's going to be coming relatively soon, if, in my opinion, if we get more leadership like this, which ties into my next reason. I feel that this administration has heavily mishandled America's number one asset. And for those who don't know, when I say America's number one asset, I'm speaking of the greenback. What's in your wallet? The American dollar. In terms of our global and world standing, this administration has done so much to greatly damage trust in the dollar, trust in America, and they have incentivized creation of alternatives. So it won't be in the immediate near term where all of a sudden, the world just dumps their dollars, but they're working on it. They're working on it. And the reason that they're working on it is, one, the way that what we did with Russia and Ukraine, with seizing their assets, seizing their money, cutting them off from the world banking system. Certain countries' sanctions don't work. I would really argue that sanctions really never work too well, because all it does is inspire innovation. And when your system is the only system, why would you want to inspire innovation? It makes no sense. And now we have a situation where the BRICS Alliance, they're convening, they're organizing. It's still early, but they seem very serious about finding trade alternatives to circumvent the need for U.S. dollars. And they seem to be entertaining creation of a currency to balance trade. For those that don't know, kind of why this is such a big issue, or could be the big issue in a few years, is right now America's debt is something like 120% of GDP. That means if America were to put everything towards paying down the national debt within a year, we still would not be able to pay this debt off. It would, at current levels, because it's about 120% of GDP, basically you'd probably be looking at 15, 16 months, and that would be theoretically if you were able to take every single red penny that would go towards producing anything in this country to paying off that debt. The dollar being the world's reserve currency is what's allowed us to amass such a huge debt and not feel it in a way that a lot of other countries would have. And if countries divest themselves of the US dollar, we will begin to feel it. Right now, when our politicians say that we don't have the money for this or we don't have the money for that, but they can come up with monies to drop bombs on foreign peoples, unless you know that they're lying. But essentially, the day will come if this continues where that really won't be a lie. There won't be any money in America for the government to do certain things, because we will have such a massive debt, and we won't have the dollar buttressing our financial system as the world reserve currency to insulate us from bad fiscal decisions. And then finally, why I don't rock with her, I don't agree with genocide. And she's made it abundantly clear that she's not breaking with fuckboy Joe on that policy. I don't care who you are, but it is profoundly disturbing to me to witness America aiding in a genocide. My grandfathers fought in World War II. And there is a fascistic regime doing very similar as the enemy they fought against. And I find it baffling, the days and times that we're in. Not to mention that we are supporting neo-Nazis in Ukraine. I find it very troubling. And I just cannot sign on to the systematic elimination of a people. I won't sign on to the systematic elimination of a people. I feel that it frankly endangers a lot of other minority groups abroad and even here. It's scary because the Democratic Party has effectively, they've manufactured consent for what is probably one of the most evil things you can do. And they have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to claim they are the lesser evil. And my stance is this: if my choice is Beelzebub or Lucifer for who's going to rule hell, I'm not voting for either. I'm going to find a righteous option. I'm going to find somebody I believe in. And I don't give a damn whether they get millions of votes or whether they get no votes or just my one. I'm going to vote based on my principles, based upon my convictions and what I really believe in. Nobody owns my vote but me. So this is a little bit longer than I thought it would be, but yeah. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Leave your thoughts and opinions down below. And if you want to engage, leave a comment. I'll be more than happy to engage. Thank you and have a great one.